he's also rarely wrong. Now, a few years ago, the Wall Street Journal reported that Buffett made an absolutely stunning $10 billion, I said billion dollars on investments he made at the height of the financial crisis. Now, true to form, Buffett sheepishly commented that any average investor could have done just as well as he did. In fact, more recently, he has stated that it should be possible for any individual investor to beat his performance at Berkshire Hathaway going forward. Now, does this mean that Buffett has lost a step? Hardly not. It's simply a matter of the law of large numbers coming into effect. Now, listen to me closely. To earn that $10 billion, Buffett had to invest $26 billion. And that put his return at about 38% or 6.7% a year over the 5 years. Now, let's put that into context. Let's put that into perspective, shall we? Buffett made his first investment during the financial crisis in April of 2008, and his last investment during the last year of the financial crisis. Now, the SPDR S&P 500 symbol, that ETF that tracks the the S&P 500, which is known as the SPDR S&P 500, trades under the symbol SPY, and as you know, Wealth Street family members, that's one of our MAG 7/17 position. And that particular position was trading as high as $140.59 in April 2008. Okay? Now, assuming an investor bought at the high that month and did nothing else at all, his 20.3% gain would be slightly less than Warren Buffett's. But remember, Buffett added to his investments throughout the financial crisis. Now, if you had invested in SPY throughout the year, according to our number crunching here at the ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute, you would have likely beaten Warren Buffett, believe it or not. In fact, the number we came up with, remember this all depends on timing, was a 74% return, or 11.7% a year. Of course, Warren Buffett's timing was excellent with these investments, but his disadvantage is clear. You see, Buffett can only invest in large companies because he has to make large investments in order to move the needle on his portfolio. Otherwise, it would simply have no effect on his returns. He is also no longer able to respond quickly to the market. You see, if the market or a specific stock tanks, then it's that much harder for Buffett to dump his position and avoid losses, or conversely get in at the right time at the bottom. So creating outside returns is harder now than ever before for the Oracle of Omaha. Now, you, me, we, the ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute family, and listeners alike, we are not burdened by this. But the bottom line is this. If you could have beaten Buffett's returns over that 5-year period that I mentioned, then you should be able to beat him over the next 5 years. Now, that should be comforting when you really think about it. You see, one important thing to keep in mind when studying Warren Buffett is understanding that he would not be there. He would not be where he is today without his most valuable asset. And his most valuable asset is Charlie Munger. That's right, his business partner. You see, Munger may not be as famous as the Oracle of Omaha, but he has been instrumental in not only Berkshire Hathaway's success, but also Warren Buffett's evolution as an investor. Let me share this with you. You see, Warren Buffett came up as a disciple of Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. Now, this can basically be defined, I'm talking about value investing, can basically be defined as buying stocks trading for dirt cheap valuations. And it was the approach that led Buffett's investment partnership to acquire Berkshire Hathaway way back in 1965. You see, back then, Berkshire was a failing textile manufacturer. The stock was selling for around $7.50 per share, a major discount from the per-share working capital of $10.25 a share, and book value of $20.20 per share. And Buffett also noticed that the company was using the proceeds from closing down some of its plants to repurchase its own company shares. So Buffett, very cleverly, in a very stealth manner, began purchasing shares of the company until Berkshire's then CEO issued a tender offer to buy back shares for $11.37 a share. Now, this would have given Warren Buffett a weighted return of about 40% in less than 2 years. But that wasn't good enough for the Oracle of Omaha. Instead, Buffett decided to purchase more shares, increasing his stake from 7% of the company to 40% of the company. This was classic value investing in action. But Buffett has since said, believe it or not, it was one of the dumbest investment moves he ever made. Now just let that marinate, let that sink in for a minute. He said that the Berkshire Hathaway acquisition was one of the dumbest, quote-unquote, investment moves he ever made. Warren Buffett said Berkshire Hathaway was a dumb investment. You see, let me explain that to you. You see, as a disciple of Benjamin Graham, Buffett was taught how to identify a company that was trading at a significant discount to its net asset value, or NAV, to determine whether it was a worthy investment or not. Now, he dubbed this investment style as his cigar butt strategy, and this framework for value investing served him quite well in his early years. For example, had his ego not gotten the better of him, his investment of Berkshire Hathaway would have turned out to be exceptional. You see, according to his newsletter, had he simply accepted the $11.37 offer per share, his weighted annual return on the investment would have been around 40%, an incredible return in less than 2 years. But remember, Buffett knew that the textile business had its problems, but he was picking up shares of the company for a fraction of what they were worth. You see, this strategy of buying mediocre companies trading at bargain prices worked well in the short term. But this cigar butt strategy wasn't the way forward for someone who was wanting to build a large and enduring firm. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying value investing doesn't work. It very much does. It's just that thanks to Warren Buffett's longtime business partner, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger found a better way. Let me explain. You see, it was Munger who taught Buffett that while buying decent companies at cheap prices was good, it was far better to buy wonderful businesses at fair prices and hold on to them for the long haul. So, that is to say, beloved family members and listeners alike, one would be wise to find excellent companies trading at good prices that can compound their earnings and reward shareholders like you, me, we, the Atwwi Wealth Street family through dividend payouts, etc., and profits for many years. You see, it's this change in philosophy, a philosophy that Charlie Munger brought to Warren Buffett. It was that change in that philosophy that led Warren Buffett to make investments in names like Coca-Cola, American Express, Walmart, and many others. You see, family members and listeners alike, the point is, successful investing does not have to be complicated. Do not make arithmetic trigonometry. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Family members and listeners alike, buy fantastic companies at reasonable prices, especially dividend-paying companies, and then add them to the foundation portion of your investment portfolio to stabilize your portfolio as you diversify the balance of the portfolio and get P.A.I.D. And it also helps for you to have a partner, like Warren Buffett has with Munger, to help guide your thinking, challenge your assumptions, and keep you razor sharp and accountable. Now, if you don't have a person or an entity like that in your life already, and even if you do, we, the Atwwi Wealth Institute, would love to be your humble servant, and we would be honored to help you navigate the very, very treacherous waters in the ocean of trading and investing. And we would be honored to show you how to get P.A.I.D. continuously. When we come back, we're going to go over how to get P.A.I.D. from a particular scene in the movie Casino. I'm talking about Martin